You all seen the Loom video? Right, if you haven't, please go and have a look at it, because today we're going to do an hour, but this is usually 4 to 8 hours. So we're going to compact it a little bit. You're going to talk for about 15 minutes, but you're all going to start doing some work. We're going to actually use some role playing today. You hear lots of role playing? Not a lot of people. But you're going to get comfortable being uncomfortable today, right? That's about the ignite and elevate. We've got to do things that move us forward, right? Let's not just be comfortable, let's stretch ourselves, let's move ourselves forward. So we're going to talk about this, right? We're going to talk about how we're going to elevate, ignite and elevate, and make sure that we're moving forward as a team. That's what we're here for. And the other thing is our people first, right? We have to ignite our people. As leaders, you have to lead. And as you're leading, we're going to be igniting the team members around you. You're going to be elevating them, and you do that through people first. So what is leadership? Leadership really is to inspire others. It's not to do the work yourself. It's to inspire others, for others to do the work around you. You've got to inspire them through your words, through your actions, through your thoughts. I heard a lot of comments, I heard a lot of words earlier, right, about trust. Allowing them to trust you in what you do, and the courage, and to clarify, and to move forward. So your job as leaders is to inspire others. That's what leadership is about. That's as simple as it gets, to inspire others to do other things. By the way, this is what we're going to do in DISC today. We're actually going to do some role playing, and you're actually going to make people do things, or get them to do things that we probably don't normally do. This is the power of DISC. We're going to go and ignite, elevate our people first culture. So how do we do that? How do we guide people? Through our words, through our actions. That's how we ignite people. How do we elevate them? Words and actions. Thank you. We are awake. Also. But our people, you've got to be people first. Not just people internally, but people externally. Without customers, do you have bank? No, you don't. You've got to be appealing both internally and externally with your words and your actions. Communications, there's two forms of communications. There's what's called the golden rule, communicate the way you want to be communicated to. And there's a platinum rule, treat others the way they want to be communicated to, right? How they want to be interacted with. So one of the things that we've got to really start to embrace is the platinum rule. We've got to understand others. It's not about you anymore. It's about them. And when we're talking to groups, we've got to talk to them as an individual. And I've got to applaud speakers before. They did an absolutely amazing job talking to the different DISC profiles. I'm not sure if you knew that, but you were talking in different ways. You were talking inspirationally. You were talking about facts. You were talking about action. And you were talking about the support. We call that high DISC communication. And if you get that recording, you want to play that back because it was really, really good. But when we're talking to individuals one-on-one, we've got to talk to them, not as you. And this is the only way that we're going to start doing in a few months. You're going to get uncomfortable doing it. The other thing is in communication. One of the things that we've got to do as we're inspiring people is we've got to drive an emotional connection. Banking is about sales, right? We're selling a product. You're selling a financial package, and you're getting people to buy that and use that the product. So you've got to emotionally connect with those individuals, whether it be an individual as one-on-one banking or as a business, as a business institution. You've got to emotionally connect with that individual. How do we emotionally connect with people? No. You get to know them. How else? Talking to them, right? Understanding, getting to know what motivates and drives them. Right? I'm going to give you another book to read. It's called Simon Sinek's Why You Can Do What You Do. It's not part of today's presentation, but it's the why. Why do you do what you do? A lot of us know what we do and how we do it, but not very, very few people know why we do it. And I applaud you for coming up with that and saying we want to understand our why, we want to understand our purpose. But a lot of people don't understand what that purpose is. If you don't know how to inspire them, what motivates and drives them, how can we inspire them? So we've got to understand individuals, what inspires and drives them. By the way, money is an outcome, it's not the driver. Family is an outcome, it's not the driver. Go watch Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. It's the #2 TED Talk ever. And it's about 5 minutes long. It's a brilliant piece of oratory from Simon Sinek, but it's also an amazing marketing training. So if you're here is in marketing, external communication, excellent. You need to understand this one. And the reason is, when you sell the how or the what, it's about money and time. If you understand the why, it's about a belief and an emotional connection. That is worth more than anything else. Nike, Apple, Warby Parker, all of these very, very large brands are now selling why under it, not how and what. And you as an organization, I've heard this multiple times already, is our purpose, what drives us, what motivates us. You've got to be able to articulate that out. So the platinum will communicate to others the way they want to be communicated. Not only just the words, but the emotional connection. You've got to understand that. And it's very, very easy to do. That's what we're going to go through. So there's a thing called the DISC, right? Sorry, this isn't alternated, but what we talked about is dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. The D is the I is the S is the C's. So who in the room is a D? There's more than that. I know on the report I got on was 11 people out of 27 that I got back that were Ds. 11 out of 27 that I got were D personalities. Yes. Right? So those are very dominant, very forward-thinking, very task-oriented, very fast-thinking. Right? It's a very large percentage. Conscientiousness, 8 out of the 27. So 19 of the 27 people are very, very task-orientated. So what are we thinking? Everything's about task. What about people? So one of the challenges I've heard is how you manage projects. How do you move projects forward? How do you make sure that you're conveying what you need to do to other people to get them on board to do the work, correct? If we're just communicating tasks, do you think the people that are people-orientated get on board? No, not at all. You might as well be talking gibberish, right? Straight away. We have 7 people in steadiness from the report that I got. And even more frightening, we have 1 person that doesn't know. 1. Which is very interesting, right? 1 person from the report. So when we're looking at this, right? So D's to S's, right? We're looking at communication. D's have a way of communicating which is very direct, it's very task-oriented, and it's very fast. C's are very detail-oriented. You want lots of information, you need all the data. Where's my risk people? Where's my loan officers? Who's in charge of loans? Right. You're all looking for data, yes. You want more and more data, right? Lots of data to confirm what you're lending. Right. Great traits out. S's, these are the people that are managing teams, right? They want to make sure everybody's included. They want to make sure the whole team is safe. Right. These are the S-type personalities. And the I's, these are the salespeople. Right? These are the forward thinking. Let's move, let's go fast, let's go forward. They make decisions with about 50 to 60% of the data, right? So with that in mind, we have conflict, we have tensions, right? I used to manage the largest R&D team in HP. They were all C's. I had an I. Right? I make decisions with about 40 to 50% of the data, and I'm moving forward fast, right? Because that's what I needed to do. But all my other team needed 110% of the data. Guess what I needed to do to get the best out of it? Change my communication and how I delivered that information. If I did it, I never got them on board and I could never get the work done. So I communicated to them the way they want to be communicated to. So there's natural tension points between each groups. D's, by the way, scare S's to death. They curl up in the fetal position and they're like, please, come on, come near me. Right? They do. Right? But we need S's and we need D's, right? So we've got to learn to communicate to them because we want them to do the work, right? We want them to inspire an element. I's and C's frustrate each other because I's want to get things done fast, quickly, whereas C's want more data. And by the way, more data, and absolutely more data, right? So one of the challenges is how do we communicate to them in the way that they want to be communicated? We've got to adapt. And this is what we're going to be talking about. The only challenges we've got is D's and C's are all about the task. They will start with the task, but not all about the task. And people that are I's and S's don't care about the task, they won't talk about people first. So this is where you've got the challenge that we've got to figure out. And then the C's and S's and D's and I's is about the speed. Right, you'll probably notice my tone goes up and down because I'm trying to talk to every style in this room. Right? So think about this. I'm going to give you one sentence to use to identify what somebody's profile is. And you can do this in about 15 seconds. You can use this with your external customers, by the way. Everybody got a pen? All right. The sentence to use is, how was your weekend? How was your weekend? That's it. Or how was your week? So if I ask you that question, how do you think a D or C type personality will respond? Come on. What did they do? What was the tasks that they did? Right? They'll talk about the numbers and the travel time and how long it took one to get there. They'll talk about the task of doing it. If you ask the exact same question to an I or an S, what are you going to get?
Fun.
Fun, positive.
Who's this right?
Who I was with. Who I was with. Right. The other thing is how they communicate that back. If you talk fast and high, like I do, you're an either a D or an I. But if you ask them, how was your weekend? It was actually quite nice. Right? Their tone comes down. They're more thoughtful. They're more methodical. So now within 15 seconds, you can actually identify what somebody's profile is. I do this all the time. It's really good if you're buying your car, by the way. You can work on them. They're taught how to do this. Well, it's fun. I just bought a car and you turn the tables on these guys. I got a huge discount. It was awesome. It's great when you're taught all the tricks that they're taught. Right. But one of the things is to understand how to identify the different styles and how then to talk to them. What you've all got is a cheat sheet. The cheat sheet was handed out with regards to this profiles, right? And by the way, today is the first day in the journey of using this. This isn't either standing up here for 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and then you go off and you go do other things. This is life-changing. If you lean into it, this can significantly improve both your communications in the office and outside of the office. I challenge you all when you go home to try this at home. By the way, this does work on children as well. They just have a different vernacular around it. You can use this in the office, you can use this at home, you can use this in social occasions. And I will guarantee if you use it and do it or use the system, the process, you will have far better interactions, far better engagements with individuals and groups. Okay, so here's your cheat sheet. So how are we going to use this? Your cheat sheet, your style, is on the left-hand side. So if you're a D, an I, an S, or a C, you picked that quadrant. Then you go look at what is the style of the other person. And now it's like every day you ever play battleships when you were growing up on a piece of paper? Oh, you've sunk my battleship. This is your battleship, right? So you're just going to bring the quadrants together. So let's say I'm a C and I'm talking to an S. We're going to avoid saying anything that sounds like a personal attack and be willing to compromise. That's how we're going to have to communicate to that person. It takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of effort, but it will person. If I'm a D and I'm trying to talk to a C, I'm going to focus on the root problem and use the logic to address the issue and beware of making generalizations. Because what are C's? Detail-oriented, task. They don't want generalizations, they want specifics. Does this make sense? Yes? No? Maybe? Possibly?
Yes.
I hope it does, because we're all going to practice it. We all ready? Okay. So, what I would like you all to do is, everybody's got their badges, correct? They've got their C's, their I's, everybody's got a little... Right, so what I want you to do is I want you to find somebody different. And you're going to have to use your cheat sheets. And you're going to have to communicate to that person in their style. So if you've got a C person, right. If you've got a C person you're talking to on this far side, and if you're an S, you're going to focus on logical problem solving and putting your feelings aside and don't take comments personally. So what I would like you to do first, right, it's a quick exercise. It's a 2-minute exercise and then we're going to turn. I want you to, where are we? There we go. Oh, there we go. So you need to ask. So this is the scenario I'm going to give you. You're going to go to another department and you've got a problem that's a pretty mundane task. Maybe it's a data cleanup, it doesn't matter, whatever it may be, right? It's not their normal job, right? But you've got to persuade them to actually help you get that job done. By the way, if you're a number manager, you can't say, I tell you. That's not acceptable, all right? That is not acceptable today, right? You've got to persuade them. So person number 1 is going to be the person asking. Person number 2 is the person that's received the request, right? And you can choose whatever personality you want. You can be difficult, you can be engaging, you can be standoffish, whichever way you want it to be. That's right. We got it? Right, we're going to try. Yes, question. But if you have 2 letters. If you got 2 letters, so, right, so you are a ID. So if you've got a little letter I or a little letter S, and you've got another letter that's larger, it's a capital, your dominance is the capital. Right, so you're a capital, so you're the D actually. You're a DI, but you lean to the D, right? If you've got 2 letters and both capital, it's the first one that you lean to. So if you have capital SD, it will be the S is the dominant. Okay, does that make sense? All right, anybody got any other questions? Great question. Right, when I would like both to stand up, when I say go, you're going to find a partner, you're going to say go. I want one person to make the ask, I want the other person to react. So, hips around, right, we'll make it easy. How hard was it at the very beginning to change your mind to talk to the individual the way they want to be spoken to or engaged with? Was it hard?
No.
We answered it. At the beginning, yes. The beginning, somebody said no on it. No? Right, awesome. No. Different people react to it different. Right? Go on. What was hard about it?
logistically because don't offend us. If it that keep breathing, I be offensive to the face. But is ear time. How you talk or it knows is this.
Yeah,
It's hard talk in different ways.
it is. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your brain to think different. Your brain is being wired because you're all 25 in this room. Your brain's being wired for the last 25 years to talk when you want to talk. It's very hard to change how you talk and how you think to somebody else's point of view very, very quickly. It takes time. It takes me about 15 seconds because I've been doing it for 25 years.
But I guess in my case, I've been using this, but my problem is when I need to use it, I totally forget about it.
Totally forget. There you
And I'm like, I can't find it.
Right.
I forgot.
You forgot. Right. And by the way, you're doing it for 25 years? Don't ask my family, am I communicating the right way? Right? Because I can tell you right now, my wife will probably tell you about 90% of the time it's no. Right? Even though I know she's an S and I'm an I, right? I am way too fast and way too direct and way about it. She's like, you slow down, please. Right? She reminds me. But it takes practice. It takes practice. And that's why I'm really impressed that you've actually got your symbols on your badges. Right? We in our department, in our offices, we actually have it on our door. Before you walk through, we literally have the sticker on our nameplate where we can actually tell you what your profile is. So if you want some of those, we have some of those today. Right? If you want to take these, I'm going to leave them up here. You can start them up and hand them out. But if you want to put them on your desk or on your door, but you've got to remind yourself, this is a tool that you've got to use every single day. Because if you don't, you will lose it. If you're not practicing, you're going to lose it. Right. We're going to do the next step. This is a little bit more difficult. And I need 4 volunteers, please. One. Bring your chair, I think. Actually, no, you don't need your chair. Come on up. I need 3 more. Come on up.
Use truth. He's I.
It's 8 feet. Right. Very fail. 2 more people. Come. I have a volunteer or a volunteer. One or the other. I don't mind. There we go. There's Brother Bryce Soul. Oh, there's another. There's a lady back here. Carl. Oh, the oldies. Yeah. Love these. By the way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it doesn't matter because guess what? I'm going to change your personalities. Yep. I'm going to change your personality. Right, so let me switch this up. Let's switch this up. So, okay. Test. What switch? Test. No. All right, so what we have is what we call the vanishing vision. So in the vanishing vision, 3 months ago, we launched Project Elevate. Sound familiar? The initiative is to streamline commercial loan process. The kickoff was high energy. The mission was clear. The tasks were verbally delegated, but now it's stalled. The deadlines have slipped, responsibilities are unclear, the momentum is lost. Leadership is asking for an update, and you're pulling the original team together to reset the conversation today. So, you are the leader. You're reset. You, sir? You're the finale. Now, you are a C personality. Now, you are an S personality. So, issue this, all right, flip it around. Yeah, flip it around. You can't be what you are. Thank you very much. Thank you for doubling her in. That's fine, we're good. You're good. Right, because you're couple D, no, couple I. Yeah. Oh, you're okay. All right. Okay, we are now. All right. So, our illustrious reset leader is literally going to reignite, right? He's going to read his script here, which you can all see. And now he's going to engage all these team members to reignite it. But you've got to communicate to them as a group, and then you've got to communicate to them in their style individually. Do you want your cheat sheet?
Yes.
Let's go with his cheat sheet. This really is a test. This is the announced version. You voluntold? Awesome. So Saidi, when you're in. Now I want you all taking notes, by the way, because we're going to figure out how we can improve this as we go forward. Right? Because guess what? This is going to happen in real life. So we're going to go through this now. We're not looking for perfect. Just go for it.
So we're just gonna impact the play. You have to.
Yeah. Just be the leader. Why? So go for it.
So we all sucked. Because we did not pick our goals. I don't know what you guys were doing. And Sunita, you didn't even show up for meetings.
Joy?
I believe we have to watch. I can't talk that.
Oh, sure.
But we need to watch protocol, we need to watch compliance. You can't just run off and do this without it being mapped out and
Joy,
charted.
that's analysis paralysis though. If we continue watching, then how are we gonna make the
What are we
goals?
gonna do when it fails? Because again.
We go back to the drawing board, but let's fail. We didn't do nothing. You gotta do something
Okay,
to
let's
fail.
do it, but let's think about it.
Awesome. Chetan, where were you, man? Were your daughters? Sure. You know you get paid, right? Every Friday?
Let's get back to the drawing board, we'll figure this out.
Alright, so guys, we knew this was just a joke. I wanted to crack the ice. We want to make sure that what failed and how can we do it better as a team. I know why the board chose us to be part of the leaders, because every one of us brings a different aspect to the table. And that's why we were chosen leaders. So let's get together, let's figure out what happened, what broke, and let's kick some ass, okay?
Let's do it.
Well, let's go.
Good, sounds good.
Okay. All right. So, you can, yeah, thank you very much, ladies. Appreciate you. So, how do you think that went? Did he communicate to them the way they want to be communicated to? Right? He was a complete D. Direct, task. Where were you? What planet are you living on? How are you going to get there? How do we get you off that planet to bring you down? Right? This is what we see every day. How should he have approached that? How should you have approached that differently?
I should have asked what happened.
Okay.
That was the top.
Leaders speak 20% of the time and listen 80% of the time. You set standards, right? So if we're setting standards, how do we help them achieve their goals? So when we're talking to an I personality, how should we communicate to them in this scenario?
Very calm. Not aggressive.
Not aggressive.
Ask questions.
Ask questions. Future. What does this look like in the future? If we got this project moving in the future and we got here, what will that look like? We're missing the opportunity to grow. We're missing the opportunity to achieve the goals of our customers. By the way, it's about the people. It's not about the task. It's about the people, internally and externally. So when we're talking to the I personality, we're going to talk about the people. We're going to talk about the future. We're going to talk about the impact, how this is going to be great. How do we talk to the S personality? By the way, I was a D. Yeah. How does this look like us two as a team? How is this reflecting on us as a team? What's the impact this is going to have on the team, on our customers, on our environment? We've got to talk about how do we make sure we reduce the risk. As personalities are very risk averse, by the way. How do we make sure that we're not going to have challenges as we go forward? Right? What does it need? What support do you need from us to achieve your goals? That's how you communicate to an S. A C. How should you communicate to a C? Details. I heard details. What details? Data. Timelines. Action points. Impact. Where's my C's in the room? Who loves a good Gantt chart? Right. Percentage completed on a Gantt chart. Right? Where are we on the project? Where are we on cost savings? Right? So as we talk to the whole team, as a group, you have a room like this, and we're having a challenge. This is how I'd approach it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. I really, really appreciate it. As you know, we have a challenge sat in front of us to ignite this company and move us forward. We all agreed to a deadline to get this done. Unfortunately, we haven't met that deadline yet. If we don't meet this deadline, it's not going to look good on us as a company, as an organization, and as a team. It's something that we've really got to work on because the benefits of doing this, not only for ourselves, but for our customers and our partners, is immense. And I want to make sure that we do this. And here's the data, by the way. So if we look at the Gantt chart, we can see that we're missing in these specific areas. We've got to focus on these specific areas to get us back on track, but we've got to continue to accelerate that moving forward. Can you all lean in and help us get to that point? That's how you communicate at HighDesk. Can you see the differences? Yes? No? Maybe? Right? How do you communicate in the different styles? Very, very quickly. Again, I think it's on this page here. The one that you've got, your overview of your disk. This one here, it tells you, right? It tells you the styles. Stir. You guys have got to practice it. If you don't practice it, what are you going to get? Same as you've always got. If you want to change, what have you got to do? Change. We can have a lot of fun with this. I actually have a lot of companies. They actually do this role playing every week. They're actually a medical company. They deal with people that have got extreme pain. Very, very stressful environment. So they're having to manage that at all times within their environment. And one of the problems they found is the internal communication sucked. Because they're under immense pressure all the time. We've literally flipped the script, and they're doing this every week. And their employee satisfaction score went from 20 to 80 in 3 months. Because they practice. Muscle memory. I've done it for 25 years. It's easy. Because I've done it so long and I use it so often. You guys have got to become experts in this, both internally and externally. And the more you use it, the better you become. Agreed? Yes. It's like doing math. It's about doing loans, right? Your processing is the same all the time. All right, we're going to do another practice. This is one where you can all join in again. This is another two practice. So this is deadline versus diligence. So role number one is the project manager. You're driving to deliver a major lending platform update. Your timeline is tight. It's got a lot of executive visibility. Delays are not an option. But you need to greenlight this moving forward or with slipping the milestones. Person number 2 is risk averse. They're S, right? They won't come, sorry, actually, we're going to make them C, right? They're CS. Represent compliance, oversight, you're flagging issues. Other people want to gloss over things, you're not. So what we want you to do, your mission, project manager number 1, is find a path forward. Get this person aligned or partially committed to the timeline to get back on track. That's your job. So I want project managers, find a stakeholder, and you're going to practice this. Now, you're not allowed to talk to the same person you had before. You're going to find a new person. And then once you've done it, we'll do 2 minutes, and then we'll flip it, and the other person becomes the project manager. Clear? Yes? Yes? All right. Project manager, let there be a I personality. By the way, the project manager is an I personality. The person number 2, the risk-averse person, is a C personality. I and C. How did you feel about that exercise? Was it a little easier? No. No. I think we had some experts over here did an amazing job. Right. But again, I'm trying to explain to you all it is difficult. It takes practice. You've got to ingrain this because you can walk out today after the hour and go back to the way you're going to do it. Right. One of the things that Grace asked me to do was around projects. When I asked her about what was going on with the organization of the team, she said, we've got a lot of projects going on. We've got to do a lot of things. We've got to ignite the team. We've got to elevate the team. And that's why I started off with the first slide, was what is leadership? It's to inspire others. And we inspire others through our words and our actions. And if you are not using the right words, are you going to be able to inspire them? I'd actually say hell no. I know. But let's be honest. You're absolutely not going to inspire people. Even worse, they're probably going to copy your bad habits. A lot of the team members don't up to you as leaders, correct?
Yes.
A lot of them try to mimic what you do because they think it's delightful. So if you're using bad practices, you're not using tools like this, but you think very good, what are you teaching them? Bad habits, bad practices. Leadership, by the way, is not always from the front. Leadership can be from the front, from behind, from the sides, from the center. Depends on the style you're using at the time. And you all as leaders have got to lead from the front here. You've got to set the standard. You've got to set the bar. You've got to communicate effectively. Because if you don't, I will guarantee you, your projects will not meet the deadlines and timelines that you set. It will not achieve the aspirational goals that your leadership set for you. To ignite the team, to elevate the team, to be people first. You can replace processes and procedures with AI today. But you cannot replace the people. You cannot replace the sparkle, the sprinkle. A human connection, that one-to-one in the environments you're doing, can't replace that with AI. Let's ignite the people around us. Let's inspire the people around us. Let's start with the first step, which is learning to communicate to them the way they want to be communicated to, the Platinum Rule. You don't have time for the next exercise, but you all have this one. I would actually suggest that you take this back later on today and actually practice this in groups. Take what you learned today, practice. As I said, one of my other clients, they do this on a weekly basis. Before they do case reviews, they go and they do the disc. But they use it. If you want to see a significant change in your employee satisfaction scores, start doing this. Start communicating to them the way they want to be communicated. I'm not saying lower the standards. I'm actually telling you to heighten the standards. Set the bar high and achieve that standard that you're looking for. So, quick question for all of you. Take 30 seconds. Write down a piece of paper. What was your biggest learning today? What was your biggest learning from this quick exercise that we did today? Once you finish that, how are you going to implement this learning? How are you going to take what you learned today? How are you going to implement it? By the way, steal this slide and use it with every interaction you have with your team. If you're having project meetings, you're having engagements, use this slide at the end of every meeting that you have. What did we learn today? What are we going to do about it? First, then you test the people's ears are switched on. And this, ask them to articulate it because, by the way, when we verbalize it out of our mouths, it's actually telling us our brains that it's really important. That's why I meant you write it down. All right. I'm going to go around and around the room. So, what was your biggest learning today?
So I was really speaking obvious. It seems obvious, but I was really intrigued by the platinum book. Just it's more about the client and the customer. I know that, but it just seemed more obvious the way people describe it.
Here. Also. Over here. Biggest learning.
The biggest learning, I think, trying to talk not the way I'm accustomed to, but trying to switch my fears and talk so that the other person, I kept referring back to the cheat sheet so I can remember what I had to do, or what the words I had to use, or what not to say in order to get the other person to understand and communicate more clearly in them. And
Awesome. Fantastic. Go. We can go switch it. Sorry.
I would say communication is 30% on that. Talking is 70% listening. And I think that's very important.
Thank you. Ladies?
thing. The Vatican role equals getting to a commitment faster and clearer. Once they understand people and use their language to communicate with.
How was your weekend? That's it. Identify what type they are.
Isn't that simple? How was your weekend? How natural does that feel? How was your weekend? Right? We're over here. Yes, I am.
To really better understand the individual that you're interacting with and speaking with so that you can be more effective and engaging when you're talking to them. Really styles really are key. And so a lot of the takeaways from that is I'm hoping that we can get some kind of cheat sheet from our leadership here in this conference so that we can be able to better convey and communicate with them when we leave here.
Leadership, they want to know how to communicate better with you. Fantastic. Also, all right, I am looking at this table over here. We'll be very quiet over here. What are you going to take from today and what are you going to implement?
Okay, I think respect each other is very important, and community between each other, and we have to try to understand the different person, the situation.
All right, awesome. All right, I'm not by time, and I want to respect your time today. Can I ask everybody in the room, are you going to use this tool not just today, but for the next several weeks, the next several months, the next several years? Yes? Yes. Yes? Yes. All right, awesome. So, where's HR? HR is over at Grace. I would like it in everybody's plan that they've got to study a little bit more on the disk profile, dig into disk, and it's got to be part of your plan for development. How are you using this to communicate to others? Right? It is a tool and it is a practice that you guys have got to get used to. I'm going to be a broken record on this one. Right? But you've got to use it every single day. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate it. And where is my loan officers, by the way? Who's in charge of loan? Right, okay. So just one last thing. So I do mergers and acquisitions as well, as you've probably seen from the video that I sent out. So when BBA, my organization, comes for a loan, what is the right communication that you should give me back when I'm asking for a loan? Yes. I'll say, well, that's all I want, right? Yes, we could do that loan for you. All right, so my partners said I needed to tell that to you guys, right? So in all seriousness, we do want to talk to you guys. We actually did about $100 billion in new business. Last week we secured, and we're doing loans for nearly about $100 billion worth of M&A project. So I know you guys do SBA loans. We want to talk to you guys. So, there you go. Right. Hold on. There we go. I do need to talk to you. Right, there we go. All right, so we would like to give you business as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great day.